It is Saturday, April 2nd, and I'm here at the Ambassador's Residency with Ambassador Kim of South Korea, and he has so kindly agreed to conduct an interview with me. We will be discussing the issue of engagement of the USA and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and I'm looking forward to hearing the Ambassador's insight from the Korean perspective. So first question, I guess I'll get started. What was your role in terms of nuclear program negotiations on the Korean Peninsula?
If I limit to explain my role on this big negotiation, my role was first to coordinate between Republic of Korea government and U.S. government on how to deal with North Korea. And we were together in Geneva in 1994 to negotiation on the agreed framework. That framework agreement was renegated after 10 years because of many failures. But my role was mostly in negotiating directly with the North Koreans on how to set up the nuclear power plants, which was agreed upon in return for North Korean giving up dismantling nuclear program. So we were together with the American delegation, Japanese delegation, Europeans, together in negotiating with the North. And then my basic responsibility was to create the realistic ground, the framework on which we can start the project, the constructing of a nuclear power plant, and making sure that North Korea would dismantle their nuclear facilities.
So you've worked with DPRK officials before, many times.
Yeah, we set up an organization which was called KEDO, Korea Energy Development Organization, which was composed by U.S., South Korea, Japan, and Europeans. Mm-hmm. And this organization was in charge of negotiating and implementing the agreement. And in terms of implementing the framework, we were out there in North Korea and setting up the ground and setting up all the necessary facilities and logistics, and handling the personnel and handling the project, and also checking with the North Korea about their progress in foregoing nuclear programs. So we went to North Korea many times. Delegations were visiting North Korea. Some North Korean delegations visiting also New York, but mostly we went out there.
Okay, so I mean, with all your experience, how would you describe the diplomatic attitude of the DPRK of working with them?
I think North Koreans, there are two views from outside, from US and from DPRK, from ROK, that North Korea may have wanted to change their course, like really engaging with the West and the South Korea. Another view is that North Koreans' action was only tactical and cosmetic, hiding their nuclear program. They had never intention to change themselves. So these two views are struggling with each other. But when we met North Koreans, it looked to me that North Koreans were serious in receiving the new technology, new management, new things at least. We don't know exactly how much their leadership tried to hide their own programs, but at least when we interface, people were serious in receiving and learning the new things from South Korea, from the West.
Okay. Given recent conflicts between the Republic of Korea and the DPRK, the shelling of Yeonpyeong Island and the Cheonan incident, tensions are at like an all-time high. They've not seen like this since decades. So, as a seasoned diplomat, what actions do you think could put an end to this paralysis of negotiations?
You know why these are happening? Because we think that North Korea is preserving their system, preserving the power of family at the first top priority. That's why they are sometimes trying to negotiate with us, open their door a little bit to get the economic assistance. But I thought they have judged that creating these troubles, attacking South Korea, would help them to securing their regime, their power, vis-a-vis the military leadership in North Korea and vis-a-vis the people. They falsely thought that creating this trouble gives a score, gives an opportunity to be respected by their own people for Kim Jong-un. So this was recorded by them as a victory for Kim Jong-un, new general. So this is a very stupid thing.
Right. So, I mean, well, you said before that you detected a kind of sincerity in their negotiations. So where does this violent outlashing?
Yeah, no,
incidents fit
because
into?
what I stress is that their leadership calculation and the people on the ground may different. Because their leadership calculation could have been to deceive the West from the beginning. Or the leadership may have genuinely thought that to become friend of America, friend of South Korea. But the unchanged reality is that preserving their system, preserving their power is always on the top priority.
Right.
That caused the problem. That is the fundamental source of all the problems and tension. So if I go back to your question, how to resolve this tension, I think there are two steps needed because we must be very firm not to allow any provocation. We must show the strengths. And then once we are giving them overwhelming power, that this type of provocation does not go through, does not take any compensation for them, then based on this we can go for negotiation or talks. That is what I call negotiation on the strengths.
See. Now, again, given the recent aggressiveness shown by North Korea, what do you think would be the responsible course of action for China, who's really the DPRK's only ally? What would be the responsible course of action for them to take in all this negotiating?
You know, 15 years ago, around 15 years ago, Chinese position has been that we don't have much influence over North Korea, we are not engaged, we do not have much business with them. So you guys go ahead. That was the basic attitude of China. So when we invited China to become one member of Kido, they didn't participate. When we won negotiation with the DPRK, they didn't participate. Now they are participating in the negotiation, they are urging for negotiation. Their position has been changed for a couple of reasons. One reason is that China strategically still think that America can be dangerous for their prosperity.
Right.
Even though America is very much needed economically for China, strategically Chinese still are suspicious of American intention. So they thought that keeping North Korea under their influence is in their own benefit.
I see.
That's one thing. Second thing is, as you know very well, Chinese economic power has been growing very rapidly. The Chinese strength in general over the world is not the same as when we first negotiated with North Korea 15 years ago. So China became more assertive in their own way in pursuing their own national interest. So that's why Americans became more and more frustrated in the Chinese reaction over North Korea. Many Americans are complaining China is not taking responsibility as a global leader, as a G2. China should have a good responsibility, they don't care. But we must find out a way for American interests, Chinese interests, Korean interests, and Japanese interests come together. That's how we